Good morning. We're going to talk about The Matrix today and the movie versus the reality we are all living in. So, if you followed any of my work, you've seen I've come to the conclusion that we are living a game sequence. Even before Elon Musk started talking about it, I was looking at game theory about 8 years ago and went, that's the only thing that was making sense to me. And then I was reminded of the movie, interviewed the screenwriter who wrote the play as well as the Terminator, and said, what did you see? She identified as a clairvoyant. I went to Athens and went to Delphi and researched what were the real women doing it, and looked at the job description and said, wait, what's this about? And realized I had prepared most of my life to operate in this world. And so when this article showed up, I just went, whoa, here's the fact that meets the fantasy, and particularly the movie that showed humans as this kind of energetic battery cell for powering. And it occurred to me a few months ago when I saw an article about Bitcoin mining and the cost of that mining being highly high as well as expensive and almost destructive in a manner that becomes one of the most self-fulfilling prophecies of the Matrix kind of vision, which saw people, the resistance, living where? Underground, like in mines, which was an interesting reminder of that visual. But what it also brought home to me was you can lay down and give enough juice in your being still body to make Bitcoin. And I have been one who saw Bitcoin as, not necessarily Bitcoin, blockchain as a good solution for all of us. That it would allow us to change from the pyramid structure of the FICO system, that to one that allows everyone to play. And I have a app in mind to do that, or a blockchain app in mind to push that good that we want to see in the world. However, there is, as they say, a dark side, and like polarity, there's going to be the positive and the negatives. And I'm not talking with the negatives being the banking, but the real negatives that all of us have to pay for, the energy to empower that. I've seen some articles that said, well, the solution is free energy. Well, it ain't here yet, but Bitcoin is forcing it, cryptocurrency is forcing it to move that ball forward very fast, or we turn out the lights on ourselves with a system that only runs on power and electronical power. Necessity is the mother of invention. So I know you young minds and smart minds will make it happen and work that situation out. Yes, that seems like the most likely solution is we have to find a free energy source. However, secondly, we have to look at the realities of, is it easier for us as a species to give in, I think is the way to think about it, to the creation or the stories we are. That's a little convoluted. Let me take a step back. Let's say we're all alive in a lucid dream, that these things we call skin suits, see mine has wings, kind of a little flapping back there. They're designed to help us see the senses around us. This is an illusion that we created. Bottom line, sound vibrations. We're matter, and most of the universe is antimatter. So when you get little pockets of matter, everybody hangs out. So that's why we're a popular holodeck, as I like to think about it. This illusionary space where we can create the world. And it's a very biodiverse place, kind of cool place, a petri dish, if you will, of what we can create. What we've also understood is that if we're not creating our own storyline, we are following someone else's storyline. That's the woe unto me to writers, and particularly the biblical kind and religious kind, because we know that we can sway beliefs and energy and money to one direction with a good belief and a good story. So it is our responsibility as speakers of stories, and whether true, we call it fiction or nonfiction, that we speak from our hearts, because we need the sincerity, the radical, honest sincerity of our hearts to get through this next phase. And that is about looking at our choices. Because we are the matrix. There ain't no getting around it. You're in it. Now, it's about winning it for yourself that's going to matter. And the winning is write your own script. Get off the programming of others. Don't get suckered in by the vices. And meat is one of them. As I say, anything with a heart really just makes you a cannibal. So pull back. I know it tastes good. It smells good. Notice how it smells good? The smell of burning flesh has a sweet smell. What a hook. Sexuality, another hook. It's our base chakras that have been attacked. And you can see it in music. You can feel it in music. If you like country and western, it resonates in the lower chakras. It's an angst. Christian music resonates, and you'll see a lot of tribal music. Just listen to the tone of where it resonates in the body. Is it a heart chakra? Is it a head banger kind of words that just drive you? Is it the throat that makes you want to express? Sound resonates in our bodies. Music is used to resonate in intention and in tone. So that awareness of our physical is a nice gift that we've got in these bodies. Now we've got to learn how to use them more effectively and play this game as it's designed to be. Now, you know, we got 2 strands of DNA, but did you know that we're supposed to have 12? And science and medical science and the researchers said, well, we haven't quite figured out what to do with them. And at one time they called them junk DNA, but I said, we just didn't know. And so we're still trying to figure out our own biomechanical selves. And while that is happening, which is where I love to read and research, we have to accept what has come through, what we can understand. And that is, your life is a conscious game. Call it a conscious creation. If you're listening to me, you're conscious. You're playing. You're in it. I have chosen to try to make it the best game ever. You know, when you finally get the hang of a game, I was playing a game with a virtual reality game of picking up flower petals. And at one stage I got good at it. And the flow of just being in the flow was a lovely physical high. And I just went, oh, I get it. I get the sense of how my body feels when it's in rhythm with nature. And even though this was a simulated one, it's like, well, isn't it all kind of simulated? Yes. But the fun part about all this new consciousness, we'll start to get it. And even if I'm complicated to you right now, you'll get it. It'll sink in. It'll start clicking. And then you get to go, well, what do you want to do? How do you want to play? How do you want to create the realities you want? A is going to be recognizing the programs you've been raised with and addressing them as programs. That usually starts with a should statement or a can't statement. We can't do that. We shouldn't do that. Check the source. Why? And whose decision is that? Is it a morality law that's been created of behavior? And especially I'm talking about sexuality and politics. Lord, let's not address that one today. Let's just talk about the choices we make and identifying who we are as a species. So just living for the next sex drive or the next sexual satisfaction or the next money making really is a limited focus. It's a very 3D focus. Okay, once you have it, then what? Then what? Then what? Then what? And you can be in that chase of spinning or chasing your tail for some time. But when you look at, okay, it's a game. I've played the game. I can pull back and go, well, how do we win this game? And they've created games now that you can never win, that you can just play on and on. And I say, each incarnation you're thrown into the game, and here you go. What you gonna do this time? So choose to make this incarnation the one that you are the most awake. It's your intention, it's your heart. You just make, yeah. You just say, yeah, yes. And then take an action toward it. Oh, I need to look up something. It's been on my mind. Look it up, whatever that is. I like to talk from A to Z, aliens to zombies. What do we need to talk about? What do we need to really look at? What do we need to not be dismissive and put in the conspiracy theory box, a term created by the American CIA and a policy they followed to slow down that awakening for all of us? My country's pretty good at that shit, I gotta say. And but here's the choices now. And you get to choose. I chose green, peaceful, out of America, calmer, no outside interference lifestyles. I suggest you find yours. Find that space you need to be that allows you to dream and thrive, not just survive. You're still in slave mentality if you're just trying to make it from month to month. You haven't gotten there yet. There is another way. There's more. And it's not that, oh, if I just did that, I'd just be rich. And if I just had money. You don't need money. You need a creative plan and an action toward it. And the universe meets you. That's the attraction part. It meets you. So you gotta take a step in the direction you want to go. So, we can see it's coming. Just gotta lay down there and do nothing if you want to go that way. That's the goal of the singularity with that plan, is that the humans will be used and the machines will protect you. So when you see the Matrix and they're setting a battle against that, it's a battle of control of your mind. Access to it, who has access to it, who uses the energy from it. Choose wisely, my friends. Love wisely. Love yourself first. Namaste, y'all. Oops, forgot to tell you, I'm going to put a couple links in there. One first for the article, and then I want you to look at another panel with Neil Grice Tyson, or Tyson Grice, I can't remember the name, and the brother who not discovered, but identified the code that is shown in the movie, The Matrix, and that it is a real thing, and that is how it's all ones and zeros, we're all programmable. So get your coding, baby, and understand what you're made of and what's here, and then you can get outside and not be triggered so much by the storylines that are going on all over the world. We can talk about war, we can talk about peace, we can talk about sex, we can talk about Trump, we can talk about Putin. Just storylines, just programs. So write your own. Namaste.